A vast stretch from Europe in the west all the way across Asia until it reaches the Pacific Ocean in the Far East. Russia is the largest country on Earth. It is, in fact, 11% of the world's landmass. As such, if you're after breathtaking sights and interesting geographic features, it has it all: mountains, tundras, and amazing natural destinations that'll leave you in awe. But it is also a country of contrast, from great subtropical beaches to bitterly cold winter regions in the north, which Napoleon himself couldn't endure. Sometimes, the land's beauty can be unforgiving. But aside from wide open spaces, it is also historically rich, with gilded palaces and churches topped with recognizable domes, world-class museums, architecture, and art. Some of the oldest cities in Russia still retain their imperial splendor. All in all, there's so much to see. Prior to the war, the hardest part of your trip would have been to limit yourself to just a few. Because with this immense expanse to take in, there's only so much that is humanly possible to explore. So here's to hoping the war ends soon, so that you can personally experience the beauty of this boundless landscape. Welcome to Primo Traveller. And on today's 10 Prime Picks, the best places to visit in Russia prior to the war. Be sure to watch till the end, because you don't want to miss our top spots. Because we packed as many places in each item as we can. Be ready to jump from city to city as we show you this awesome list. Pour yourself some vodka while we look at 10 awesome places that we could only visit virtually for now. I gotta apologize also, my Russian is not great, so just stick with me. Number 10. Dargobs. Let's start off this list with something unusually fascinating. The tiny settlement of Dargobs, known as the City of the Dead, has only 150 living residents, but its necropolis is home to the remains of more than 10,000 people from across the centuries. Located near the Georgian border and accessible only after a difficult 1-hour drive, be welcomed by a picturesque valley and hill filled with small stone buildings. Believed to have been established in the 18th century as the final resting place for plague victims. Once infected, families would move into these homes with food and some personal items, then stay there until their deaths. Pretty sad if you come to think of it. But with the beauty of this place, one can easily come to terms with the eternal prospect of death. Number 9. Kamchatka. For those with an eye for adventure and nature, there is Kamchatka, a vast volcanic peninsula protruding into the Pacific Ocean. It is the land of fire and ice, with some of the largest and most picturesque volcanoes on the planet, hooded by snow-capped peaks. These volcanoes have made it a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and visitors can trek up the volcano's challenging trails, take helicopter rides to gaze at steaming craters, which sounds easier than hiking, or merely enjoy a view of the ethereal landscape. Wildlife watching is also a popular activity, so book a guided tour in order to ensure safety, since brown bears are a common sight, and sometimes they're not friendly. Number 8. Veliky Novgorod. One of the oldest cities in the north of Russia, and once a part of the Hansa Union, Veliky Novgorod was founded in the 10th century and claims to be the birthplace of Russia, since its early residents were the ones who invited the Scandinavian Prince Rurik to rule the land, with a dynasty that lasted 700 years. This is the first capital of the ancient Rus. As such, it has the St. Sophia Cathedral and Bell Tower, the oldest cathedral in all of Russia. This stands alongside medieval monuments, statues, and museums, and of course, the Novgorod Kremlin, a fortification that dates back to 1044 AD. The oldest Kremlin in Russia, Kremlin meaning citadel of a Russian city. So almost 1,000 years before AirPods. That really puts it into perspective. Number 7. Kazan and Nizhny Novgorod. For this spot, we have a pair of cities that you can both visit, since they are almost adjacent to each other. Kazan, also known as the third capital of Russia, and the Istanbul of the Volga, is a city where European and Asian cultures meet. With huge mosques side by side with massive cathedrals, You can enjoy a minaret-filled skyline alongside towering citadels from the medieval era. And for your next stop, drop by Nizhny Novgorod, 6 hours away. And just a heads up, 6 hours away is considered close for Russia, just so you know. This large city began as a fortress in the 13th century and features a walled-in old town. It also has more than 600 monuments and statues, and at least 200 museums and concert halls. At the heart of it all is the Nizhny Novgorod Kremlin complex, a medieval fortress that is an architectural masterpiece, with 12 imposing towers lining its walls. Number 6. Sochi. Welcome to a popular summer resort town sitting right on the Black Sea. With long stretches of beaches, Stalinist architecture, and plenty of spas and outdoor markets. Mizmita, the longest river in Russia, is a favorite of rafting enthusiasts. Just 50 kilometers away is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Caucasian State Nature Biosphere Reserve, home to unique species including the endangered Persian leopard. But that's during the summer. In winter though, Sochi shines, a great winter sports destination which hosted the 2014 Winter Olympics, with amateur and professional athletes favoring it for skiing and snowboarding. Number 5. Karelia. A region regarded as a paradise for nature lovers, Karelia's untouched wilderness and diverse wildlife offer an idyllic backdrop to fun summer activities like canoeing, fly fishing, or even whitewater rafting. It is also a region that shares a strong cultural connection with eastern Finland, having been inhabited by the Scandinavians for 6,000 years. With traditional wooden architecture across its ancient villages and the 17th century churches skillfully crafted entirely out of wood. It also boasts of Europe's 2 largest lakes, Lake Ladoga and Lake Onega. The latter hosts a 6-kilometer-long island inhabited since the 15th century, Kizi Island, home to an open-air museum with over 80 well-preserved ancient wooden structures, as well as 2 18th century churches that are some of the most amazing and tallest wooden structures in Europe. In fact, no other wooden structure in Russia is built in a similar style, and it's been rightfully designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Number 4. St. Petersburg and Sakov. We have another pair for you, a mere 4 hours away from each other. St. Petersburg, once the imperial capital of Russia, feels more like a European city with ornate architecture that exudes both history and grandeur. A city best explored on foot so that you can admire the architecture up close. Or you can hop on a cruise along the canals that slice through the imperial city. You could have visited Moika Palace, famous for being the place where Rasputin was killed, and the Hermitage Museum, the second largest art and culture museum in the world, with over 3 million items from prehistoric art to Catherine the Great's art collection. 25 kilometers outside of the city is Peterhof Palace. Built as a summer residence for Peter the Great, it resembles the Palace of Versailles in France. From there, head to Pskov, an ancient city near the Estonian border, offering historic architecture, especially churches and monasteries, and most notably, Pskov Kram, a medieval riverside citadel considered a Russian architectural gem. Number 3. Lake Baikal. A beautiful, massive, high-altitude freshwater lake in Siberia that is the oldest and largest in the world, containing over 20% of the world's fresh water, and believed to have formed 25 million years ago. It is also considered one of the clearest lakes in the world because it's possible to see up to 40 meters down into the water. That is why it's a favorite for kayaking, cruises, and short swims. But when you do this, be careful not to drop your phone, since it's also the deepest lake in the world, and you won't ever see your gadget again. In winter, when the lake freezes over, one could ski across and visit the frozen Tazheran Steppes caves. Visitors can also dip into natural hot springs a few hundred meters from the shore. And don't forget to drop by for one of the world's largest lake islands, Olkin Island, covered in steep mountains, lush forest, and taiga. The island is populated by Buryats, a Mongolic indigenous group that believes the island to be a powerful spiritual place. There are humble accommodations on the island if you decide to stay for a day. Number 2. The Golden Ring. It is a name given to several cities outside of Moscow that are considered the foundation of Russia's culture. They are also known for their picturesque countrysides filled with fortresses, magnificent domes, and iconic churches that contain important art pieces. Going on a tour would take you on a counterclockwise loop beginning and ending in Moscow, and going through the cities of Vladimir, Suzdal, Kostroma, Yaroslavl, Rostov-Veliky, Peroslavl-Zalesky, and Sergeyev Posad. Many sites in these cities are UNESCO protected, not only for their value to Russian history, but to world history in general, since many date back to the medieval times. Also, their museums offer a wealth of learning for the eager traveler. And at number 1, Altai. It is a republic in southern Siberia, whose terrain encompasses the Altai Mountains and surrounding tundra, alpine meadows, hot springs, and thousands of glacial lakes. The untouched beauty of the Altai Mountains, together with surrounding natural reserves, are part of UNESCO World Heritage Site and stretches from Russia into China, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia. This majestic landscape is populated by different ethnic groups that welcome visitors who are after cross-country skiing, hiking, kayaking, and even cave exploring. The Denisova Cave is an important archaeological site where bone fragments, artifacts, and even prehistoric horses from as far back as 50,000 years ago were discovered. The resort town of Belokurica is a popular jumping-off point for adventurers who are heading off to a memorable Altai adventure. These are but 10 of the best places you could have visited in Russia before the war. There are many more, but for now, how about hitting that like button? Seriously, it really helps. Check out this other video from Primo Traveller, and don't forget to subscribe for more of our 10 prime picks. And let Primo Traveller be your guide to premier destinations around the world.